We've got a great viewer testimonial. Should you go to Hamvention or buy new gear? And why Nets? This time on Mailbag Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Ham Radio Tube. My name is Mike, K8MRD. If you have an amateur radio-related question for me, shoot me an email, k8mrd@icloud.com. Today, we've got a great show for you today, and I love this first, not a question, but just a testimonial from a viewer, and I'm so glad I could help. He says, I wanted to write you and thank you for the advice you gave to me several months ago. I wrote into your Mailbag Monday about the best antenna to travel to Brazil with. I'm writing you today from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That's awesome. What a cool place to be. Earlier today, I was at a nearby POTA park. The park had never been activated before, but now it has thanks to the advice that you gave me. Since I started POTA a year and a half ago, being the first activator of a park is something I always wanted to do. I had to travel halfway around the world to accomplish it. They just put a bunch of new parks in America. But that's what a cool experience. Thanks to your advice and the mentorship of others, I was able to achieve this simple goal. I'm attaching a few pictures if you want to feature them on the next Mailbag Monday. The antenna you put me onto was the spark plug antenna held up by a Soda Beam Carbon 6 mast leaning into a tree in true K8MRD style. Thank you again, Gil Sturgis, K4GDS, and he sent along some pictures here. So here he is. He did a cool little collage there of his activation all the way from Rio de Janeiro. What a freaking cool place to activate from. And then looks like he's using the 891. He's got that plugged into his phone, and it looks like he's doing FT8 on that. I'm not sure. I don't see like any interface or something, so maybe he's got some voodoo going on to get his phone to work with the 891. Although, what phone has a 3.5 millimeter plug anymore these days? I would be curious about that. I know there's an FT8 app on the phone, but I certainly can't get it to work, especially with one cable. That's kind of cool. And then here's a shot. He's just on a little wall, got the 891 sitting there, and then there you can see the good old mast leaning into a tree. So that is absolutely fantastic. Gil, thanks for writing in and sharing that with us. That warms up the cockles of my heart. This next question may seem a little early, but we're only a few weeks away from Florida Hamcation right now, and I think this applies to all of the Ham Fest. This viewer writes, going to Hamvention versus buying equipment. Is the Hamvention experience worth going to over getting, say, an antenna or a radio upgrade? I'm thinking fuel, hotel, tickets, etc. It'd be a minimum of $700 for us. Currently, we have a radio, an 891, and no tuner. You don't need no tuner. And an antenna. So you've got a radio and an antenna, but no Hamvention experience. I think that just answered your question right there. I just got into activating POTA late in the year, winter now in Wisconsin, looking into getting a K8MRD 32-foot leading pole for an end-fed half-wave. I like your resident antenna theory. Or a REZ antenna type or Chameleon Delta Loop antenna, for instance. You've been to Hamvention numerous times, so I thought this might be an interesting comparison that will help us determine what way to go, equipment or road trip. Currently thinking if we go, drive part way down on Thursday after work, make part of the show Friday and Saturday, leave Saturday evening, get home Sunday sometime. So, oh boy, I want all of you guys to chime in on this as well because I think this is a good question. I've been to Hamvention now 3 times, I feel. It's either 3 or 4. I can't remember. And I will apply this to Florida Hamcation because it's in like 3 weeks. But there's nothing like... Let me back up. Every ham needs to go to Dayton at least once in their life. It is just an incredibly amazing experience. Even if you're not planning on buying something there... It's a good place to go, Hamcation and Hamvention, because all the vendors are there, all the radios there, all the gears are there. So if you're a hands-on, you want to actually physically manipulate the radios you're looking at, you can do it there. They're all on display. You can talk to the manufacturers and ask whatever questions you have. You can get, like, it is possible to go. I've been to many ham festivals and not spent a dime. It's just a great experience. Generally, when I go, the only things that I get I'll go to the Wireman specifically to get my little adapters and things. You know, your PL259s to whatever, all those things, because the Wireman has great adapters. I'll go to Chat Radio and I'll get my Anderson Power poles. And you know, there's probably a couple other vendors, but say you're looking at coax. Well, Stefano from Messi and Poloni is going to be there. Chuck from ABR Industries is going to be there. You can talk to them. You can put the coax in your hand. You can ask, again, whatever questions you want. There's the Outfield Flea Market. The flea market is, you could spend a day just combing through the flea market. The people, you know, you could meet a lot of people that you've talked to on the air and have never met, and it's just a great meeting place. The food is great, all the food trucks and stuff. You know, if you want to meet your favorite YouTubers, we're pretty much all at all of them. So it's just, especially being in Wisconsin, going to Dayton, that's not that far of a drive at all. There's so much to do at Dayton. I've been there three or four times, whatever. I still haven't done it all. It's just, you can walk through all 5 buildings 5 times and still not see everything. There's just that much to do, that much to see, that much fun to be had. There's forums. Maybe go get the experience. See, like, is there something you really need? Because you have a radio, you have an antenna. You can go to the Spider Beam booth, get that 32-foot mast. They're not that expensive. I think a little over $100 for that mast. Like, you could legit go to Dayton and spend $100 on that mast and be done with it. I mean, get, you know, food and stuff, whatever. But it does not have to be an expensive trip at all. But boy, oh boy, is it an experience. I mean, the first time I went, nobody can prepare you for the awesomeness of these events. It is just 100% full-on sensory overload, and you have to go. You absolutely have to go. Don't be dumb with your money. If you can't afford to go, don't go. But as far as the deals and stuff, a lot of the vendors will sell. So, like, if you really need something, a lot of the vendors will have on their websites the same deals that they're offering at the Hamfest. You can just get them online. So you can do that a lot of times. Like last year at Dayton, I know they were selling the FT5 for like $300, which was just insane. But you could still get it online for the same price. So for me, it's about the experience. It's about meeting people. It's about the camaraderie. You know, we as YouTubers will generally do some kind of like hangout event. We'll usually find a brewery or something. Even at Huntsville Hamfest, we do hang out a lot at Montesano State Park. We have a gathering usually Friday and Saturday night, but sometimes we've gone out to a brewery one of those nights, usually Friday night. And it's just so much fun to hang out with. There's literally tens of thousands of like-minded individuals there. So I can go on and on. But guys, leave in the comments, what do you think about that? So hopefully that answers the question, and more than it helps confuse the issue even more. So thanks for writing in. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you there. And lastly, I know the person who wrote this, so I don't know if he's trolling me or not. He says, I've been listening to Nets since getting my ticket in 2021. Some are very detailed, some are just giving your call sign and nothing else, and some are formal and some are not. My question is, why run a net? Why is it important to participate in different nets? Your thoughts are requested on this subject. Well, I just gave my thoughts on nets. I feel like within the last couple months, but I will try and give my thoughts without emotion this time. So nets serve a lot of purposes, actually. And I remember when I first got licensed, I would get on my VHF radios, the TYT is actually that radio right there, the TYT 9800. That radio is dead now. And I would check in to the local net on the Clarkston, Michigan repeater. And it was just a great way to meet the people in my area who I could talk to. And I made some good friends on that repeater. Then I joined the South Lion Club, N8SL. They had a great net. I really liked the format of the way they did it. They would go through, they would take the check-ins and then they'd go through a round and then they'd go through a second round. which I think is really cool because on a VHF net, it's just, here's your call sign. All right, what do you got to say? Well, the second round's like, well, hey, somebody else after me said something cool. I want to respond to that. So you can kind of keep the format going here. And it wasn't really time restrained. Here, the Huntsville repeater, the Huntsville club that I guess technically I'm a part of, their net is like a half hour, and they're really always pressed for time because there's another net like a half hour later that everybody's worried on, and they won't change the day because other people complain that, well, I won't be able to check in the net on there, and it's like, so I don't really get on that net. But on HF, there are a lot of nets out there, and I've said some things about them. But when I first upgraded to General, my first HF contact was, I believe it was on 40 meters. And I heard a net. Turned out it was the OMIS net. I think it was on 7185, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, thinking new General, just making your first contact. That net is literally there to help people make contacts. I think one of their primary goals is to like help people get their work to all states. So you check into that net, and hopefully people can hear you. And you say, I need Hawaii, or I need Timbuktu, or whatever. If there's someone on that net and they can hear you, you get in and you go towards working all your states there. So there's a lot of reasons for them. Some, there's down here on a repeater system, the WA5AIR repeater system. It's also called the South Coast Reflector. There's repeaters connected from an hour west of me in College Station all the way down to Galveston. I mean, we have coverage for hundreds of miles, and I've got them all programmed in my radio so I can just change the frequency to the different repeater that I'm getting close to. I was driving and around noontime, and they were having a lunchtime net, and it was literally just people talking about what they were having for lunch. There's nets for all things. But there's also like ARES and RACES nets, like emergency preparedness kind of things. Just to make sure your gear works and have people confirm that, make sure you sound good. Because people will let you know if you got a little picket fencing on your signal or something, and maybe you got a little water in your coax, something's not working right, you don't have an analyzer to test it. There are a lot of good purposes for nets. I know I've kind of poo-pooed on them in the past, but they do serve a purpose. So, and it's good. It's good. Like, I'm more of a fan of like the local nets, because really in a kind of disaster type setting, that's going to be the first place you want to look. We just had a big cold storm come through here in Texas. I didn't really get affected too much, but we were all prepared. I mean, my club, one of the guys sent an email out. He's like, hey, we're going to be listening to these frequencies. Aside from the repeater, he set aside kind of a comms plan for if anything happened, if we lost power, if, people needed help, or if people could help others, these were the frequencies that we could be monitoring. So there's a lot of uses, a whole lot of uses for them. So find one you like and have fun with it. I mean, I like I said, I still remember to this day my very first HF contact. The guy sent me a QSL card. I was digging through all my cards. I couldn't find it for the life of me. But yeah, it's just a neat thing to have. So and you make good friends. So you're playing with radio and talking to. That's the whole purpose of radio. So they do serve a purpose. So thanks for writing in, whether you're trolling me or not. I appreciate the email there. So guys, if you have a amateur radio related question for me, shoot me an email, k8mrd@icloud.com. I would love for you to be featured on an episode of Mailbag Monday. And until then, my name is Mike, K8mrd 73 for now.